Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Hey, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Life Transformation Radio. I'm your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and international best-selling author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 90 countries. So whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to us for some time, I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here, we tell the story of why we're doing what we're doing, highlight that transformational moment that changed our lives, and how we use it to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us live right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network, Tuesday through Friday. You can also join our Facebook Life Transformation Radio community and never miss an episode by subscribing to your favorite podcast platform. Life Transformation Radio can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Pandora, Google Podcasts, everywhere podcasts are listened to. Life Transformation Radio is there. Please give us a subscribe and leave us a rating and a review. You can also join us on YouTube at Life Transformation Radio. On the show, my guests are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, amazing people impacting the world around them. And my guest today does exactly that. If you have any questions, any of the guests that I bring on the show during our live broadcast, Tuesday through Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, give us a call at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. And with that, please welcome to the show my guest for today, Lynn Guerin. Lynn, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Oh, thanks so much, Sean. Great being with you today.
I'm super pumped to have you on the show. You got a lot of great things to talk about, and you come from an amazing background of knowledge and just leadership values. And I know that we're going to dive into some amazing content today because you kind of bring something special to the table, and I appreciate you being here.
Oh, my privilege. Nothing I'd rather do than get with a smart guy like you and talk about my favorite subject, coaching, helping people become their best, and Coach John Wooden.
Heck yeah. There you go. The title of this episode is 5 Lessons for Leading the John Wooden Way with author Lynn Guerin. Lynn is CEO of the John R. Wooden Course and president and head coach of his family-owned coaching, training, and performance development firm, Guerin Marketing Services. For the past 20 years, he has had the unique privilege of partnering with legendary UCLA basketball coach John Wooden and the Wooden family. You can go to the website right there in the show notes, the John R. Wooden Course.com. Click on that link. Go check out what it has to offer. I promise you will not be disappointed. Lynn, the first question that I have to ask, and I believe is the most important question, why? Why do you do what you do?
Well, I think the shorthand answer to that, Sean, would be because I love what I do. I'm really in the business of helping people become the best that they can be. I've had a 40-year career in the business, consulting, training, and performance improvement world, helping organizations, large companies accomplish significant things with their game plans and their strategic intentions, helping to launch a luxury car company, helping to reinvent a nationwide sales force, helping to reorganize $8 billion worth of education within a huge technology firm. So I've been in the business a long time of bridging the gap between performance and potential. And then some 20 plus years ago, I ran into the greatest coach in the history of American sports, who also turned out to be the greatest person that I ever met in my life. And he really changed my life and really crystallized the why of what I'm doing and what I've done, but helped me direct it more specifically on the way he thought about things, the way he coached people, and the way he saw life in general. So my why is really about helping and serving and coaching and teaching and training, helping people get excited about themselves and their own human potential, and then finding a way to love and serve and develop others. That's what really gets me up in the morning every day.
Love it. Absolutely love it. My favorite part is seeing the transformation happen. Something you say clicks. Something you say lights the light bulb. And I look for those moments when I'm coaching somebody. That's what I look for. Like, oh, I get it. Okay, I got you. Like something I said just finally clicked. That's what I love.
Yeah, I think depending on the specific kinds of coaching you do, and there's a lot of people out in the world today who are marketing themselves as coaches, whether it's a life skills coach or it's somebody in the leadership development space or somebody that's coaching business strategy. We have spiritual coaches, lots of different flavors of coaching out there these days. And the reason we do what we do is to help people, really find what it is they're looking for. Helping to clarify the purpose of why they do what they do, and in many cases sometimes transforming themselves from who they are and what they're doing now to something that they think they would rather do, be better at, and even doing something they believe would be more meaningful. So getting a chance to work with people, through those transformations is really fun and exciting and exhilarating work. Not too difficult to get up in the morning when you have an opportunity to have those kinds of coaching conversations with your clients.
Love it. Yeah, definitely. When you get out of bed, you got those coaching calls scheduled, and man, I love, like, who am I going to inspire today? Who am I going to have an amazing conversation with? And I might have a discovery call. I might actually have a discovery call with somebody to kind of get to know them. We're going to do business, so. But I love that moment. I love that moment where I get excited to check my calendar. Who am I going to talk to today?
Well, the other opportunity also is to try to create some continuity with those kinds of people. Somebody that you might get to coach over a 6-week period or a 15-week period, or somebody that you might work with over a period of years, and to see that growth and transformation that can happen in the short time that you might work with them, but having the opportunity to really impact them over a longer period of time, that's even more exciting. And we get to do some things like that in our work with the John R. Wooden course, particularly we have a very powerful assessment tool called the Individual Success Assessment. And it's based on John Wooden's Pyramid of Success. It analyzes 25 day-to-day behaviors that Coach Wooden spent 14 years working on as a blueprint for what day-to-day behavior looks like. And so we have a very rigorous process to help people analyze their own behavior. And it provides some amazing insights on how people see themselves in areas where they might want to improve.
That's very, very interesting and something that is very, very needed. I try to motivate people around me. You know, being in the military the last 20 years, I'm in contact with a lot of 18 to 19-year-olds coming into the military. I really try to motivate them. And I don't know, the generation, I guess everybody says this, right? The generation is so different. The next generation will happen, you know? And I think the time-tested principles that John Wooden has and taught, and, you know, I think every single generation, no matter the age, could use them, for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think there's a set of things we call foundations and fundamentals. That's actually the first course in a series that we teach. And I think that's a good part of kind of what's missing with all the chaos in our culture today. We really just lost sight of those really fundamental and foundation things on which our country was based, on which our institutions were created around, on which strong families came together, on which people worked a lifetime to be successful and meaningful in their life. And I think the quicker we get back to some of those foundational ideas, you know, the better we're going to be. Just, you know, that some of them just are under the old banner called common sense. But I think we know that common sense isn't very common anymore. And we seem to have a world that gets faster and quicker and more complicated and more confusing and more points of view and more things coming at us at one time at a faster rate of speed. And we just lose sight and we don't slow down enough to consider those foundations and fundamentals that really should be guiding our life.
Yeah, so true. Just about transformation. We go through a lot of transformations. Many we go through early on in life, later in life. For you, what would be the transformative moment, the transformation that took place that changed you, put you on the path to what you're doing today?
That is such a, Sean, it's such a rich question, and I'm 73 years old. So I might say that question was answered 3 or 4 times in my life when there were things that happened that might have then carried me for the next 10 or 12 or 15 years, and then something else significant happened. You know, I think we have, I'm as engaged in my work today as I've ever been. I'm as passionate about my work as I've ever been. Working with John Wooden, a guy who worked right up to the time John Wooden lived to be 99 years old in 8 months.
Wow.
And he was still coaching in his 99th year. So, you know, having a model like that in your life who was mentally as sharp as you can possibly imagine, complete control of his mental faculties, even, you know, even to his last days. But, you know, I'd say there was I came from a very, a small town in northern Ohio, you know, grew up in the 50s and 60s, came from a broken family at a time in a small town when there wasn't a lot of that. I was a 3rd generation abandoned son. My dad left when I was 3, and his dad left, and his dad left. So we hadn't had fathers that took care of their boys in my family for over 100 years. So that idea of breaking the cycle of abandonment in my family, you know, was a transformational understanding and really became a life goal and something that I went through various phases of, you know, throughout my life. Even now with, I have 2 grown sons and 2 grandsons, and that's still very much a part of what our family culture is all about and things that I share with my boys. I went through some transformations at work through working with a couple of great corporations like Johnson & Johnson and General Electric. I worked for an outstanding consulting firm that really taught me the basics of consulting and training and performance improvement. And then I started my own business and have been an entrepreneur for the past 25 years. And in that process, met John Wooden. And I can tell you the day that I met him was definitely a transformational moment. Because my life was never the same after that. The way he impacted me and my life and how I think and what I do and what really matters and why it matters. Those were all part of those kinds of transformational moments.
Love it. For those listening, can you briefly tell the audience who John Wood was? Because I got kind of a younger audience, got an older audience too, mostly women. I'd say probably 50-50 women, but there's a leans toward like the woman side, but
yeah.
Who was John Wooden?
Yeah, John Wooden is best known for his accomplishments as the legendary college basketball coach at UCLA. He started coaching at UCLA in, I think it was 1948, and coached through 1975. Won 10 national championships in 12 years. The last 10 years he coached. Pretty much the best record that's ever been compiled in men's basketball. But as much as the coach he was even more this incredible teacher of life, incredible integrity and character. He was a poet, he was a writer, he was a philosopher, but first and foremost, he was a teacher. Was involved in the development of 19 books in his 80s and 90s, and was still coaching and teaching, sharing his wisdom with others, long into his 90th year. So he was just this remarkable human being that had this sense of peace and grace and humility, but incredible intellect and his ability to define and conceptualize the most practical and fundamental things in life. He would be, like I said, if he was a pastor, he'd probably be the pastor of the Church of Common Sense. Coach was often described, as a man who was all about common sense, humility, and integrity. Those were probably three words that described him best. So he leaves a legacy around the idea of coaching and personal development. And he also created a diagram called the Pyramid of Success. If you Google that today on the internet, you probably would find 100,000 references to that very famous diagram, which I believe is probably the most comprehensive and complete and sound definition of human performance behavior that exists in our world today. I think, frankly, it hasn't been given as much attention and credit as it deserves for the quality of work and thinking that it represents.
Yeah, when you think of basketball, a lot of people have, the coaches. Like, there's a lot of famous coaches. When you think of college basketball right now, it's Coach K with Duke. Everybody talks about Coach K.
Yeah.
Right?
But when you ask Coach K who's the greatest coach of all time, his answer is, well, there's probably a lot of debate on who the number 2 is, but there is no debate whatsoever on who the greatest coach is, and that's Coach John Wooden. Those are Coach K's words exactly. Yep.
So Coach K, like you said, there might be a debate about the second greatest, but, when you think of college basketball, you just think of John Wooden. And so I wanted to ask you, with your transformational moment. I mean, I'm sure this was the pinnacle, right? Like, this was the moment. I mean, it's pushed you, learning all the stuff that he offered and doing everything that he said to do, pushed you to the next level. Now, how have you taken your why? How have you taken your transformational moment and elevate the world around you?
Well, I think the answer to that, Sean, is coming into contact with John Wooden and wanting to learn more and more and more. I mean, literally everything I could possibly learn about the man. And there's an awful lot out there that had already been written, but the fact that I got to spend, hundreds of hours with him over an extended period of time became so meaningful. And we began working on some significant projects together for clients that I had. But then I took him the idea. I get so enamored with everything that I was learning. I thought this absolutely needs to be shared with the world. And somehow all of this wisdom needs to be pulled together in a way that it could be taught and shared and used on a day-to-day basis by the business community, by coaches, by teachers, by families, mom and dad trying to figure out, how to be a better parent. And that's the way Coach impacted me. When you were around him, you just came away just feeling, man, I need to be a better guy, right? I just need to be a better person. That's the impact he had on you. So then trying to figure out, how you're going to go about that and realize that he had the blueprint for all that in the way he organized his own life. He essentially was the walking, talking pyramid of success. Every block that he identified on the pyramid, he exemplified in his day-to-day behavior. As a matter of fact, he never did, take his players through lectures on the pyramid or teach them every block. He just set an example every day for what it looked like and how it played out in how you treated people, how you went about organizing your life, how you were consistent with the values that were the most important part of who you were. He just executed those day-to-day foundations and fundamentals that he learned as a young man growing up that became the blueprint for his successful life. A life that was described at the end. Dick Enberg, the sports broadcaster, Hall of Fame sports broadcaster, once described Coach Wooden as a man whose greatness was only exceeded by his goodness. And that speaks volumes to what the opportunity for making our own lives be all about. Everybody wants to be successful, and we spend a lot of time in our course talking about what it really means to be successful and what it is to pursue true success, which is what Coach Wooden was all about. He actually spent 2 years writing his own definition of success, and then spent 9 decades essentially living that definition. Coach said that success is peace of mind attained only through self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to do the best of which you're capable. That definition of success,
that's good.
Yeah, it stands in strong contrast to what the world defines success as, which is the accumulation of material possessions or the attainment of a position of power or prestige. I mean, if you look success up in the dictionary, that's what you'll find. And oh, by the way, that dictionary's been there for a long time. And we define it in our country as the American dream. Well, the American dream, as it's being pursued there, is a big part of what's causing many of the issues that we have, because we got a few people getting there and a lot more people feeling today like they're being left out for a lot of various reasons, whether it's discrimination or the lack of education or the lack of respect or, fundamental disparities in the way, people are educated and so many things, but, the gap between the haves and the have-nots, it's getting wider all the time. And, when the definition of being successful is being part of the haves, you can see why we're having many of the challenges in the country that we're having today. And until we get back to these some of the fundamentals, I think that the challenges are not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree. It's amazing that no matter the year, no matter the time, the principles always stand true. From 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago to now, the principles stand true.
Absolutely.
And I find it fascinating.
He had, this is one of the set of principles that shaped John Wooden's life. If I share those with you, they'll sound very, very simple. And his father gave them to him when he was still in his early teens. Actually, he may not even become a teenager, may have been 12 or 13 years old. And it was something called the 7-Point Creed. And it was 7 ideas that his dad wrote on a little card and gave him to him when he graduated, from the local grade school, along with the $2 bill. Interestingly, that he said, if you keep this, you'll never be broke. That $2 bill is still in the family. But he gave Coach Wooden these 7 simple but powerful principles that John Wooden, Sean, spent every day of his life reading and considering and trying to follow through. Very simple things like the first one. Be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. The thought was, it's hard to be true to others if you aren't true to yourself. But we spend a lifetime trying to figure out who we really are and what it means to be true to ourselves. The second principle was help others. Be someone who serves. So much of our own success comes from our ability to probably coach ourselves well, but real joy in our life comes from being able to help others and serve others and help others become successful. And that's what Coach often liked to quote Mother Teresa, who would say, a life not lived for others is no life at all. And he really followed her as one of his mentors. A principle that he really used in every aspect of his life, but particularly in how he organized the time of his life and even the way in which he organized his basketball practices, was a principle called make each day your masterpiece. Very powerful.
Love that.
Very powerful idea, which meant there is no time to waste, right? And he was so organized in his approach to life. The organization of life connected with the 2 words he said were the 2 most important words in the English language: love and balance. You can't have balance in your life if you aren't doing a good job of organizing your priorities and aligning your time to accomplish those priorities. So make each day your masterpiece became a framework for how he looked at the value of every single day. The fourth principle, he had this 4th principle his dad gave me, and said, drink deeply from good books. And his dad said, especially the Bible. They were people of strong Christian faith. He read the Bible every day. He didn't consider himself a student of it, but he definitely was in the Word every day. But why this principle is so important today, drink deeply from good books, is more important than ever, because what that principle is really all about is controlling the quality of the input that goes into your mind. And there's never been more competition today for the space in our minds, and particularly from our children's standpoint. Who's controlling what's going into our kids' heads every day? How's it affecting who they're becoming? And all of that came from his dad's principle, drink deeply from good books. What he was really saying was, Put good things in your mind. Pursue wisdom. Pursue things that really matter. But
one of the conversations.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, I say one of the conversations that we had on a previous show was who's parenting your children?
Right.
You, the media, or the devices?
Exactly right. And
who's
that's
parenting your kids?
Yeah.
Yep. That's crazy.
So he had these simple but powerful principles: make friendship a fine art, build a shelter against a rainy day, pray for guidance, and count and give thanks for your blessings every day. Well, he lived by those 7 ideas, just fundamental principles that his father gave him that shaped his entire lifetime, who he became, and how he treated others. So, that pursuit of wisdom that was very much a part of John Wooden's life is the message for all of us in how we think about, being successful in our own life. We're only as good as the quality of our thinking. And most of the attitudes and behaviors we have that take us into places we shouldn't be all starts with some thinking that isn't wholesome, productive, full of the right kinds of values. So if you haven't got a hold of your head, you aren't going to have a hold of your life.
Right. Right. Absolutely. So if someone wanted to get your book, how would they go about doing that?
Well, our book is pretty readily available anywhere. If you go to go to Amazon, which is the world's biggest bookseller these days, they can find Coach 'em Way Up at Amazon, but I think Borders and all of the other major sites that sell books. We also have a website, CoachEmWayUp.com, in addition to our JohnRWoodenCourse.com website, and you can also buy the book there as well. One of the things that's in the book, Sean, is there's an opportunity to take that assessment that I talked about earlier, and there's a code in the pages of the book that allows readers to get a 50% discount on the individual assessment, which is on the internet.
Oh, cool. Oh, good to know. Perfect. So as we close the show, I want to leave the listeners with a message, a takeaway. What would you say if somebody started listening at the show right this moment? What is your message for the Life Transformation Radio audience?
My message is give yourself a promotion and make yourself the head coach of your own life.
Yes.
And take the opportunity and the responsibility and the privilege to do the best job you can, and learning how to do that. What does it really mean to be a head coach of your own life? Because if you do that well, there's you're for sure going to get the opportunity to do it with others and for others. And guess what? You probably already have that responsibility. If you're a parent, and Coach Dad has got to get a lot better these days at coaching their kids, not just punishing their kids, or not just trying to, as they call them today, being the lawnmower parent or being the helicopter parent.
Yeah.
Parents today have got to become effective coaches for their children if they're going to make their home team a much stronger team and a much happier team. But they can't coach their kids well if they're not doing a good job of coaching themselves.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we can't just put the kids in front of a device and go, here, go away.
Or send them off to a $150 an hour coach to teach them how to hit a baseball or how to pitch a baseball or how to do whatever sport they want their kid to be great at, when they're not teaching them the fundamental principles of life and relationships and hard work and enthusiasm and what it means to be a great team player and what it means not to be afraid to fail, to take initiative and to have alertness. I could go through every block on John Wooden's pyramid. Those are the life skills that parents need to be giving their kids. And they also need to be working with discipline, Sean, in a very different way.
Yes.
Coach Wooden says that you discipline to help, to correct, to teach, and to improve. Discipline is not punishment. When you punish, you antagonize. That's Coach Wooden's teachings. So we need to become a lot more positive around the concept of discipline and see what an important thing it really is and how good we have to be at that as a parent.
Right. Yep, that's true. Yeah, we hear about spankings and timeouts and everything in between, and the generation to generation. I have a theory that we parent our kids in the way that we wished we were parented as kids. You hear things like, well, I wish, or, when I have kids, I'm never going to treat my kid like that. I'm never going to treat my kid like that. And then your kids don't like something that you did, so they don't do it. But it's lost in translation. There's a reason why parents disciplined or punished or had rules. There was a reason why, but that reason got lost in the translation of they're being so mean to me. Like my 14-year-old was like, you guys are so mean. I'm like, I'm not the one getting bad grades. You're grounded. You're not going anywhere. Yeah. I'm not the one getting bad grades. You're the one getting bad grades. Right?
Well,
so, you're so mean. I'm like, I'm not. You're mean. You're not getting good grades.
Yeah, I think Coach like to say you're better off being out front with a banner than behind with a whip. But that banner needs to have very specific things on it. Coach had some really great teaching around the idea of rules and guidelines. As parents, sometimes we like to make a lot of rules. We like to make things black and white. But Coach said the longer he coached, the fewer rules he had and the more guidelines he had. When he first started coaching, he had a lot of rules and few guidelines. And the longer he coached and the more he learned, he said the fewer rules he had and the more guidelines he created, because he really wanted to be able to guide his players, not set a bunch of rules that kept everybody from ultimately aspiring to what they had an opportunity to be.
Right. Love it. Well, Lynn, thank you so much for coming on the show. Learned a lot. People got introduced to John Wooden if they don't know who he is. Thank you so much for your time and energy today on the show.
Oh, thank you. It was great being with you. Be happy to get together anytime.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Life Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest impacting the world around him. Go to thejohnwoodencourse.com. It's right there in the show notes. Click on that. Look to see what Lynn has to offer and what he is teaching. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Just a reminder, I'm hosting the show until April 1st. Life Transformation Radio sale has closed, and Life Transformation Radio has been sold to a new host that will take over the hosting duties as of April 1st. So when Rob Actis comes on and takes over the host April 1st, please don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. He's got amazing guests coming your way and more to come there. As I close the show, I always say, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. And I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live an amazing life.